There we go. This is not the smartest guys in the room. Hello, everybody. This is not the smartest guys in the room. How are you doing today, Thomas?
Dominic, I'm doing well, buddy. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. You sound good. You look good. All is well today. You got the glasses on. This is the Tom I know.
Well, I want to be able to see you clearly on the little monitor I have you on here on my computer. So I want to be able to see you clearly. So I gotta wear the glasses.
I will say, when I met you in person, when we hung out, you were taller. You were taller than I expected.
Yeah. How tall did you expect me to be? I mean, I'm not very tall, but
Well, it's weird because I saw that one video of you one time when you were a bigger guy and had that giant beard. And so there's a Tom that you think could be a giant. And then there's a Tom I see on the screen that doesn't look like that guy. So it's like two Toms. So when I had to thinking about who I was going to meet when we did meet, I'm like, is this the guy that's the giant with the big beard, or is this the guy that's 2 inches tall that I see on the screen? So you, you were somewhere in between.
yeah, well, and likewise, you were a little bit taller. I mean, I wasn't exactly sure, what to expect. It's also so weird because we had, I mean, God, known each other for like 3 or 4 years 4 years at that point, I think, right? Um, and had never actually met in person. So it was sort of funny that all of a sudden it was like we'd been talking to each other every week for years and then had never met in person. But yeah, I mean, and you're what? Like you're like right about 6 foot.
That I think I'm shrinking in time. Too many cracks in the back, but yes, that's what I am.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm like 5'10". But I'm huge in my family. Like if you met my family, you'd be like, oh, you are a giant, because my whole family, I think, like, of my blood relatives, I am the tallest, and the only person taller than me in my immediate family is one of my uncles who married in, and I think he's like 6'1". And yeah, everybody else is tiny. One of my aunts isn't even 5 feet tall. So yeah, I'm like a big goon in my family. And then conversely, my wife's family is really tall. So like her dad is 6'7". Her brother's like 6'6". All of her cousins are over 6 feet tall. She's the short one in her immediate family. So it's funny. We'll see where Isla lands. If she's short, we know my genetics one, and if she's tall, we know Becky's one. So we'll see.
Now, I got some short family around as well, but then I got some tall family, and my son Cameron, who you met, he just keeps getting taller and taller, and he stands straight, and he's got big hair. So now, oh, if my hair was, hey, anybody that knows me listening and knows my son, if I had 8 inches of hair, I'd look taller too. So maybe I am taller than him, Tom. So we can't even judge because he got so much hair. So
Maybe you should just start wearing a top hat.
that's a good idea. Okay, we are going. This is not the smartest guys in the room. We're talking content value versus. This is how I summed it up, Tom. But it was your idea. Content value versus output. You can put out a bunch of content, but if it's crap, doesn't matter if you don't have a plan. So why don't you guide us here and let us know what you were thinking?
Yeah, for sure. So what I was really thinking about here was like this sort of this dichotomy that I think a lot of people are faced with around content production and trying to reconcile the question of, do I need more content or do I need a plan? Which is the better path to choose? Because I do think that there is kind of a fork in the road that a lot of people feel like they have to pick one direction or the other. I think kind of rightfully so. We get fed a lot of information that points in the direction of suggesting that volume is the key. That whatever you do, you got to post 8 times a day and you got to be on all these platforms and people are like, I just don't have time for this. I don't know how, without making it my job, I don't know how I can post 4 times a day on 17 platforms, right? I don't know how I can meet that kind of demand for volume and actually deliver anything worth looking at that kind of volume on a daily basis, unless you're just sort of like recording every thought you have and making it into a video, right? But we're fed this idea by a lot of, sort of social media experts or growth experts or whatever, that volume is really the key. And I'm seeing a lot of people start to kind of push back against that. People in the marketing space, people that use and leverage content to help grow businesses and drive revenue down the line. Content, just to be perfectly clear, content does not directly drive revenue. Content creates opportunity for sales to drive revenue down the line. So just marketing and sales are not the same thing. I just want to be very clear. I had a whole conversation about this on a podcast yesterday. But anyway, people are going through this, or a lot of people in the marketing space are starting to push back and say, hey, pump the brakes. You don't have to post 14 times a day to actually leverage something on social media. What you should focus on instead is developing a plan that you can stick to, that is focused on delivering high value content to your ideal audience, right? Which is obviously much more in line with my philosophy and with legendeering. And so naturally, I mean, maybe it's just my bias showing through, but I like this idea that a lot of marketers are starting to push back. But it's also just because high volume in marketing is similar to sort of like a high volume sales approach, where you have a really high churn rate. And ultimately, it can do a lot of damage to your brand reputation and the value of your brand over time. So if you want to build a really valuable brand and you want it to be durable, right? You want it to last, then I think having a good plan that you can stick to, that is value driven, that is specific for your audience, and is much lower in volume, is better than just throwing as much spaghetti as you can get your hands on at the wall. So that's what I wanted to talk. That's my opinion, but I'm curious to hear what other people think.
Okay, we'll get one all way in. Anybody want to come up and talk about it? We always welcome that as well. So I agree, high value content. What is interesting about output in high volume content, output to who? What is hard to one is not hard to another. Meaning, I sit with some people that are like, I'm gonna get a post out this week. I'm gonna share a picture of my backyard this week. And I'm thinking, like, how can you not go outside right now and share that picture outside and be like, great, beautiful day out. Hope everybody has a great day. I don't get why that's so hard, Tom. So, Tom, can we start there for me? Like, why is it so hard to put out, like, if we're saying document the journey, why is it so hard to put out a piece of content where I'm reading a book, where Tom's behind the camera, where authors writing, where real estate agents walking up to a house, where landscapers picking tools off the back of his truck? Why is it so hard to start there?
I don't necessarily think it's hard. I think the problem is that in putting an overemphasis on volume above all else, people end up losing sight of who they should be targeting with the content, and losing sight of whether or not that content is actually something that anybody in their audience rightfully wants to engage with, right? Do they want to watch it? Right? That's a question that a conversation that I have with people all the time is okay, great. You want to make this piece of content. You want to make this video. Now, my question is, and please don't take this the wrong way, but why would your audience want to watch that? And quite often, like surprisingly often, that question is met with a blank stare, because people don't have a good answer for it. And that's a problem. And I think that problem gets exacerbated when you focus on volume above all else, right? And so that's why I'm kind of arguing against a high volume approach for a quality approach, right? So instead of, documenting everything that happens, focus on documenting the things that matter, right? Or the things that are relatable for your audience, or the things that might help them move past an obstacle that they're facing, right? So it can't just be about whatever's going on in your life. It has to be relatable for and appealing to your audience. And if it isn't either of those things, then you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall.
I'm loving the conversation, and thank you for bringing this one up, Tom. For me, I find the people that are my most successful clients are the people that have pillars. When they have clear pillars, whatever they are, and we've talked a lot about this in here, mine are inspiration, positivity, and smiles. So everything you're going to get is one of those things. So, coming from Dominick, it's inspiration, positivity, smiles. It could be different. It could be us talking business. It could be an author talking about overcoming abuse. It could be an author talking about um, being some other kind of awareness, whatever, autism awareness or something like that. It's inspiration. And then for everybody, it's different. I stick to these pillars. That's what it is. So I have an author, John Gradina. I like to talk about him because his are faith, family, fitness, freedom. Faith, family, fitness, freedom. Every post, every time you look at John, same with Dom. If it's once a week, twice a week, John's however many times agree, Tom. Times it should be one to start. Get out one on the pillars. Get out three on the pillars. Get out one a day on the pillars. Only ever on these pillars. If it doesn't match those, then you're going down this. Now you are throwing mud at the wall. Oh, I'm dancing on TikTok. Well, maybe if dancing fits those pillars, maybe, or if you can figure out how. But go on, Tom.
Yeah, I think here's where I think you can really sort of circumvent or maybe fix this dilemma, right? Is if you have the capability to deliver higher volume, I don't think that's a bad thing, but the volume has to, or the quality has to go with the volume, right? So it doesn't do you any good to deliver a higher volume of content if your quality degrades as you bump up the volume. And I think a good way to sort of maintain that quality and make sure you keep that consistent across both is to create some guidelines or formatting constraints around your content, right? So instead of saying, well, I'm just going to document the journey, whatever that means, right? Which I know that can mean something clear and specific, but I think you need to define it, right? And in defining it and creating some sort of guideposts and some formatting guidelines for your content style, you will then have a yardstick against which you can measure every piece of content. So you have an idea and you say, this is going on today. Is this content worthy? Does it satisfy the criteria or meet these guidelines, these formatting guidelines that I've laid out for the kind of content that I want to create? And if the answer is yes, then go ahead and create that content and deliver it. And if the answer is no, then you just move on. The added benefit of that is that it creates consistency in your content and in the style of content you're creating. And consistency over time builds trust with your audience, right? And so if you can sort of unlock that, you can, like that is sort of a key to growing an audience, right? And to growing a loyal audience is to build that trust with consistency over time, right? You keep delivering stuff they want to watch over and over and over again. That's why the sort of higher quality, lower volume approach tends to also be effective, is because it's easier to maintain that consistency over time if you're only committing yourself, like as an entrepreneur, to posting 3 times a week rather than posting 3 times a day, right? 3 times a week is much more sustainable, and you can make sure that the quality stays really high. And so you can actually, with consistency, build trust over time. But if that quality falls off, then there goes the trust, right? So I don't know. Those are my thoughts. What do you think?
Tom, I had a talk yesterday with my friend James Orsini, and I, we were asking him a question. Our friend Julie was on the call, and we're asking James for advice. Guy gives great advice. Worked at Goldman Sachs, worked for Gary Vee, all this stuff. And we're asking, well, how would you do this? How would you do this? How would you put this out to your audience? And he so succinctly, ask your audience, right? Why don't you ask them rather than just creating and pushing things that you think they want? He said, ask your audience. And here, such a basic answer. We're like, right, taking notes, like, ask audience. Like, shouldn't I have done that already? So go on.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, it made me think, when if you're going to make something for somebody, like, prepare a meal or prepare a drink or something like that, um, you know, maybe make somebody a coffee if somebody's visiting or something, you ask them, how do you take it? Right. You ask them, like, it's a natural thing. Like, hey, I'm putting burgers on the grill. Do you want cheese on yours? Do you want the bun toasted? Right. Like, do you want pickles? Do you want, like, all the fixins are over there? Whatever you want, you put on it. Right. I mean, we do this all the time in other contexts. For some reason, we kind of forget to do this a lot of times in the context of the content that we put out. We forget to ask our audience. So yeah, I think that's great advice. Yeah, it made me think of that, because it's something, again, we sort of, there's this weird, it's something I battle against all the time, is the fact that we dehumanize our audiences. For some reason, when we create communications like video and through social media, we dehumanize them, despite the fact that obviously we know we're talking to people, and we often find ourselves, I see this with businesses all the time, talking to their audience in a way that's completely insane to talk to another person, right? You would never face to face speak to somebody like that or treat them that way, but people do it through their content all the time. And so yeah, it's a good reminder and a good opportunity to remember, hey, you're dealing with people, treat them like people, ask them how they like their coffee, right? So to speak, metaphorically speaking, ask them how they take it, and then give it to them the way they like it. It's very straightforward, very simple. I mean, I'm curious to hear what Dr. Tachi thinks about all this high volume versus low volume, high volume, low quality versus low volume, high quality. Like, do you need more content, or do you need a plan? What do you think, Dr. Tachi?
Good morning, all. Yeah, a plan. I, I this is interesting because I just had a conversation with my sister last night. There's a content creator that we watch on YouTube, and we really like this creator. But we've noticed that lately there's been a lot of talk about self. Regardless of what it is, it all points back to her. And granted, I guess this is what you get sometimes when you watch a vlog, but after a while it's like, what else can you offer? We love the way you edit. The thing that really draws us is the editing style, because unlike other vloggers where it's overly choppy or they really don't care that much about the editing part of it, she really takes care. She doesn't do it, but her editor does. So it feels like you're watching a story, but the story has become all about her. Yet this week's vlog, she had two guests, and we said she needs to have guests all the time because this has now changed it, changed the messaging and the type of messaging. Wasn't all about her, and there was more interest because there were other people that were involved beyond her telling us what product she uses. And I think also sometimes, even though she may not intend this, the product she uses, it becomes salesy, because often these content creators do have brand deals and partnerships, which is fine. I'm all for it. I'll take one, please. But if it becomes all about that, it becomes, boring. So my point is, in the quest to to create so much content, and she usually does like 3 a week, and it's long form, which is a lot for long form. You're talking about like at least an hour. So you're thinking about creating like a feature length film, 3 of them every week. That's a lot of work. So that's a lot of content. But I'm good with one solid a week. That's even just half an hour, even if it's 17 minutes, I'm fine. If it's going to mean there's more quality. So I'm not for the overproduction of content if there's no value for the user. You both said this perfectly. Ask your audience what it is they want. And you know what? Sometimes they may say, "Oh, we would love more of you," or "We would love more of this." But I think in that equation, are you okay with doing that? Because if they're saying they want more of you and then you produce rubbish, how valuable is that for your time or for theirs? So I digress.
Thanks, Dr. Tachi. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Like, if your audience says we want more of you, give what you can reasonably give, right? Don't just in an effort to placate them, don't just create extraneous junk to kind of fill that perceived void, right? Yeah, I think quality has to be maintained, right? If they're asking for more, give them the most you can, or just be honest and say, look, guys, I can't give you more. There aren't enough hours in the day. This is the best I can do. I'm working my butt off over here to try to deliver this to you guys every week. It's the best that I can do. um, you know, ask for their patience and their understanding. I think that's the other thing too, is keep that. It's not it's not a one-way system, right? They can ask for more, but there's also you always have the ability to tell them that you can't deliver that, right? And explain to them why. I think just be honest and open about it. I don't know. What do you think, Dom?
Tom, I'd love to give you an answer, except I'm not the smartest guys in the room at this time of day. We like to go to our special segment called Tom's Thumbs, and really we got to get into that. So, Tom's Thumbs, this is where we ask our production expert. He got to give us a thumbs up or thumbs down on something going on in pop culture, media, sports, food, whatever. So, Tom, today, because I noticed you had a little bit of tone in your complexion last week going into the spring here, I wanted to get a thumbs up, thumbs down on base tans.
Oh, this is an easy one. I'm going to quote my favorite dermatologist quote. And I don't have many of these, right? I don't know. I don't even know if I have more than one. But my favorite dermatologist quote, which is, there is no such thing as a healthy tan. Tanning is the result of sun damage. Your skin produces more melanin as a result to exposure to the sun, to UVA and UVB radiation. And that means that you are damaging your skin, and the increased melanin production in your skin is a response to that damage to try to prevent further damage. And so therefore a tan is inherently unhealthy. And if you don't believe me, I know it's hyperbolic and it's from a movie. But if you remember the neighbor, Magda, and now the name of the movie, I'm blanking on the name of the movie. It was Ben Stiller and Cameron Diaz. Oh man, what is the name of the movie? Dom, you got to help me out.
Something about Mary.
Something about Mary. Yes.
Okay.
God, I was completely blanking on it. Yes. So if you remember Magda, the neighbor from There's Something About Mary, she looked like a well-oiled catcher's mitt, right? Her skin was wrinkled and tanned beyond recognition. And the reason she looked like that is because she had damaged her skin beyond belief. I think one of the reasons why, there's an interesting thing that I've seen a bunch of these memes pop up online of pictures of people from the 80s and earlier who were not that old, but looked quite old by comparison to how people of the same age look now. And my thinking is, or the example that comes to mind is like, I remember, and I'm sure you remember also, Dom, and anybody here who's around our age would remember seeing the movie Cocoon when we were kids, right? In the 80s. And in that movie Cocoon, Wilford Brimley, who plays the grandfather, was 49 years old when he played that role, right? 49, right? So virtually our age, Dom, right? You and I are within scratching distance of 49 years old, right? And I would argue that both of us look significantly better than Wilford Brimley did at this age. And here's why. Because we grew up in a time when we wore sunscreen when we went outside. And so our skin has maintained higher levels of collagen over time. It has remained healthier. We have less wrinkles. We look less weathered, right? And we look better for our age. And it's because we have less sun damage. And so for all of those reasons, and just because I also have, some close family friends and people I care about who have had skin cancer over the years, I would say, base tans get a hard thumbs down for me.
I feel like I gave you a softball, Tom, but a base tan before you go on a cruise, before summer starts, maybe if you have a base tan, you don't get burned, Tom. What about that? What if I'm making my skin tougher and now I can take all the sun? You see,
what also is a good way to avoid getting burned? Sunscreen. Sunscreen is really good at preventing sunburns. In fact, it was specifically designed to do just that, to prevent sunburns. So if you go out in the sun and you put on sunscreen, guess what? You won't get sunburned. And you don't have to damage your skin to put on sunscreen. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that argument's not really holding a lot of water with me.
I almost want, we got Dr. Tachi and Holly here. I almost want to weigh in. I want them to weigh in from like a makeup point of view. Like I take all these pictures and I'm pasty as a ghost. I can't wear makeup because I'm a guy. It's like I need a tan. So Dr. Tachi, do I need a tan just to look better as a human being? What do you think?
You have that glorious hair. To hell with the tan. You don't need that. You just let your hair flow. You don't need a tan. But seriously, men can wear makeup and do. If you look at newscasters, anchors, reporters, they generally do wear some level of makeup because if you're going to be on camera, especially cameras now, picks up everything. They pick up everything. So for that amount of time that they're on the air, yeah, they're wearing makeup. It's not for nothing that they look, relatively flawless. So yes, B. So it's a little different for me. Now, I was cured of the black people don't burn type of thing. When I did get a burn on my shoulder, I'm like, what is this? But I'm African. How dare the sun burn me? So we can burn. It's just less. It takes us a little bit longer to burn. So the pastiness, I also don't have that issue with. I already have a natural base tan. So depending on ethnicity too, depends on your response to the sun. But I don't think you need a tan to look quote unquote healthy. If you naturally have one, it's beautiful. If you don't, that's fine. But 3, I believe they also have, what is it, like spray tans or buildable tans that if you want that color, you can do without tanning, using a tanning bed or tanning in the sun. So there's your answer.
Okay, thorough, good answer. Now, Holly, same question on the tan. Holly lives in Texas, but is pretty fair complected, I would say. So, Holly, weigh in. Do we need tans or not? What's going on here?
Okay, so hey everyone. I'm not really the best person to ask about this because I know I don't approach it in a healthy way because I am all about a tan. And I don't know if it's because I live in Texas, but I feel like the first sunburn in the spring is like a rite of passage into summer. And that's just the way I was raised, I guess. I do use sunscreen to a certain extent, and I've always used it on my children to be fair, being a responsible parent. Um, but I agree with you, Dom, that I think a suntan gives a healthy glow, and I don't like it through the winter seasons when I lose mine. And so, I think there's probably smart ways to go about it. You can still tan with sunscreen; it's just not as fast. But I do like a tan. I'll yield the mic.
So I think Holly made a good point there. So one thing I want to highlight is the idea that you look better, right? And this is particularly applies to us white folks, right? If the idea is that you look better with or like the glow of a tan, right, with a little bit more color, that is a completely a social construct of a beauty standard, right? And has no real basis in anything empirical or evidence based. It's just a social beauty standard. It is a sort of a fad thing in the same way that, like, bell bottoms were popular or low rise jeans were popular. You go to other parts of the world and you find actually the exact opposite in a beauty standard. Like, for example, if you go to Japan, having paler skin is actually considered more refined and more beautiful than having a tan, right? So like it sways depending on the culture. It's totally a social construct. So that's one thing to bear in mind with it, which means that it can be bucked, right? There's no sort of evidentiary reason for it. It's not science based. It's not factually based. It's just a social construct. We can change it if we want to. So that's one. But then the other thing is, as Holly said, you do get tan, if you wear sunscreen, right? You will get a little bit darker if you wear sunscreen. And like, that is absolutely true. I do get tan in the summer when I'm outside all the time because I spend a lot of time outside training, right? But I always wear sunscreen. So, and I wear like hardcore sunscreen. Like I am not messing around with like, like, oh, I only wear like SPF 15 so I get a little tan. Blah, 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 blah. No, like I'm going full bore, like 45, 50 serious, like zinc based, mineral based sunscreens, like legit real deal stuff. And I still get a tan. So, to Holly's point, I am doing two things. Like one, I spend a lot of time outside, which is great, good for you, right? I do get a little bit of a tan. So if you want that like healthy glow and you are prone to tanning, you will still get a little bit of a tan if you spend enough time outside with sunblock on. And I'm minimizing the damage to my skin and minimizing the likelihood that I will get skin cancer from all the time I spend outside. So wear sunscreen, guys. Just do it. Stop being silly. Anyway, that's what I think. But I think we're ready to move on here. What are we? 10:05. We got a few minutes left. We got to get through PSAs and we got to do a walk down memory lane. And yeah. So what should we move on to next here, Dom?
Let's go. I want to tackle output versus value again. One, value first. Believe 100% value first. But having spent as a but, in addition to value, people that put out content have to understand there are algorithms holding back your content. You are putting out content on free distribution platform where the business is to let people produce, take your data, all kinds of stuff. So the companies that let you put out content, they don't owe it to you to disperse your content to every person, to every follower, every person on their site, or anything like that. So I think people often get confused when they put out piece of content and they're like, I see the views. It didn't get that many views. It didn't get not all my friends commented on it. Not all my friends liked it. They didn't see it because the algorithm most of the time is compressing your outflow. Now, if you understand that, then I am suggesting to you that you need a little more output on top of that because you think that your stuff should get out to all those people. It's not, and it is going to take, having spent time in yellow page sales and insurance sales and pharmaceutical sales, it is going to take one more door knock to get in that door, one more time out in your car, dropping off something, another call on the phone. This is a virtual phone call. This is a virtual door knock. So it's going to take one more piece of content to knock on the door, Tom. So output, when it comes to algorithm, you understand that it is not just free reign out there. There is some control by another party.
Yeah, and I think a great way to increase your output without degrading the quality is to remember that not everything you put out gets seen by everybody you want to see it. And so there's nothing wrong with reposting things, right? So if you posted something 6 months ago, and I actually a marketing agency that's run local here to me that I have I know the owner of and I follow their content. She just posted about this, talking about one of her clients who posted a video, and the first time they posted that video, it got like 19,000 views. Right now, this is a client that gets a lot of traffic on their content, so it got like 19,000 views, and that wasn't a lot. So they reposted it. They just reposted it. It was originally posted like a year ago. They just reposted it. It's at like several 100,000 views on multiple different platforms, right? So it all of a sudden has gotten a ton more traction, even though it only got 19,000 views the first time. And it's just because the algorithmic environment that it was posted in now is different than the one it was originally posted in a year ago. And so yeah, you end up with with differences over time. There's nothing wrong with reposting stuff if it's good content. Nobody's going to get mad because you posted it again, right? I mean, think about if you run across. I mean, we all consume short form content online, right? Like if you come across a clip of your favorite comedian or your favorite podcast, and you've seen that joke before, or you've seen that clip from that podcast before, but it's really funny or interesting or entertaining, you'll watch it again. You'll watch it again, even though you know exactly what's coming. You know the punchline of the joke. You know the insight that they're going to provide on that clip from the podcast, but you liked it. And so you'll watch it again. You don't get mad. You don't throw your phone across the room and curse them out for having the audacity to repost something that you've seen before, right? You watch it and you enjoy it. So just remember that when it comes to the stuff that you post, that it's totally okay to repost something multiple times to your feed, because while the entire audience won't be new, some of it will be, right? It won't be new to everyone, but it will be new to someone. And that matters, right? That counts. So yeah, just something to bear in mind.
Tom, I love that take on that. It is a new take for me hearing it from you that way. I'm just thinking about, I love Shawshank Redemption. I love Jimmy V's speech at the ESPYs where he talks about that cancer might take him, but it will never take his soul. The Truman Show. I can go through so many things that I watch over and over and over again. I want them. So to your point, not only do I not get mad about it, I want to see it again. I want to see Rick Pitino, the coach from when he was at St. John's, talking about his team needing to get tougher. Get tougher. Where are you from? Love it. I'm showing my wife, Liz, I'm sorry. She's like, I don't need to see it. I don't need to see Shawshank again where Red gives his speech at the end. I love it. I need Red. I need that speech at the end where rehabilitated. Love it. So Tom, your encouragement here has me excited because I want to tell people, share it. You should. People liked it. Share it again. Maybe it'll be their favorite thing, and they'll be watching. For instance, one of my favorite things, Tom, was you in your cat suit when you were biking. I want more videos of Tom in his biking cat suit. One of my favorite things.
It's a triathlon suit. It's a
Okay,
tri suit.
gotcha. Okay, so Tom, I'm going to go out of order today, and go. I'm going to go out of order straight into a memory lane here, and I'm switching it up for anybody that hasn't been around. Tom does triathlons all over the year, all over the world, Ironmans all over the world, and in his content one time, I saw his special expensive suit that he wears jogging and running and wherever you wear this thing, wherever Tom wears this. And to me, it kind of looked like a cat suit. Like I'm talking like Catwoman in Batman. So on Not the Smartest Guys, since we started for years, we've talked about the cat suit. Now Tom says it isn't a cat suit. He swears that he's not the only one wearing an outfit like that when he rides. I don't know because but that my memory lane today is the first video that I saw Tom in his special suit, and I was like, "There's something about that guy. I like him." So, Tom, out of order, memory lane. What do you think?
I think I'm a little bit creeped out by the way you say Tom in his special suit. Right off the bat, I think that's coming across a little bit weird in a way that I don't enjoy. So there's that. I mean, look, like it's it's a triathlon suit that you specifically wear for triathlon racing, right? Um, I wear it occasionally during specific training rides when I'm riding my triathlon bike and I'm doing what we would call a brick workout. So often, like later in my training schedule, I'll be doing brick workouts, which is a long bike ride followed by a short run. And you want to train like you race, which is sort of good advice for anyone. You train like you race. So on those training rides and in those brick workouts, I practice my nutrition, right? So I eat and drink on the bike what I would eat and drink in a race. And then when I get off the bike, I don't want to like do a full outfit change and put on running gear because I wouldn't do that in a race. What I'll do is I'll get off the bike and I'll change my shoes into my running shoes and I will immediately start running as quickly as possible. And that's why I wear that tri suit, because the whole idea behind that suit is you wear the same garment, right? The same suit for all three sections of the triathlon. So you put it on in the morning, you wear it during the swim, you wear it during the bike ride, and then you wear it during the run. And it removes the need to sort of do full outfit changes or costume changes like in the middle of the race, right? Which takes a lot of extra time. So yeah, that's what it is, and that's why I wear it. If you want to just Google videos of triathlon races, you will see everybody wearing them. There's nothing weird about it. There's nothing extraordinary about it. I am completely ordinary in the fact that I wear a triathlon suit when I race and in some of my training, because again, you train the way you want to race, right? Like that's just good advice for anybody who races in any sort of sport or discipline.
Hey, don't try to steal my memory lane. Yeah, my memory was seeing you. That's what it is. I got to read these comments today. I'm going down the comments, then we're coming to you, Julie. Hold on one second. So comments. I said, is Tom wrong? Jim says, I feel Dom is head's getting bigger with the hair compliment. Don't feed his ego. Kevin says, the current president wears makeup. So Coach says, what about orange spray on tans? Is that worth voting for? Dr. Tachi's laughing. Kevin says, hey. Jim says, cat suit, yes. So we have some comments there, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, sure. Okay. I mean, I don't know. Like, are you going to tease people who run marathons for wearing, for wearing a singlet or for wearing short, running shorts? Like, I mean, whatever.
You know what I would do? I would admit, if I had a chance to wear one of these, I would at least get like some abs put in mine, like Batman did. So I'd have I'd have more of a chest in mine, and I'd have some abs. I'd have like an 8-pack in it. So at least, Tom, you need to step up your game a little bit.
So you think that it would be less weird if I had fake muscles on underneath my tri-suit? Is that the argument you're
I'm
making?
saying you got to go for it. Hey, that's it. All right. Hey, we're moving on here. We got more to do. Content value versus output. Julie jumped up on the stage. Julie, you've been around. You saw the cat suit in pictures before. We're talking about content output versus value, making sure you put out good, high value content. What do you got for us, Julie?
Well, boys, you guys delight me with this cat suit conversation, which I've heard before. So here we are. We're repurposing this conversation. I love it. Thank you very much. I was hoping to hear that again. And actually, Dom, as we're talking about repurposing content, today, James Orsini episode came out again, and it's a high value episode. And not only is it high value, I believe nobody really consumes content with such voracious appetite that they remember even if they saw it, they don't even remember it fully. I don't think our brains work like that anymore. So, and then it boosts our algorithm and we get more downloads. So I say keep putting high value content like the James Orsini episode out over and over and over again. I don't know if I added because I came late. So
No, you did, Julie, and it's interesting because I mentioned James earlier today.
You did. Look at
I
us.
did, and
We're
I said,
becoming the same.
yeah, and I mentioned the fact that here's a mentor of ours that we asked. We were talking about asking your community. We put out when you're putting out a piece of content, ask your community. And James just said, like he told us yesterday, well, ask your community. Here we were thinking, well, let's make this and they're going to love it. He said, ask them, and it was so poignant when he said that. So something else poignant, Tom, is PSA time. You ready? You want to rock it first? You ready for PSA? Have at it.
I'm ready for PSA. Yeah, I can go first. I got a good one for you today, so we'll see what you think. But anyway, so here's my PSA. This was front of mine, and I just want to say, don't ever underestimate what you're capable of. I think a lot of people do this all the time, but there's this one story that's been all over social media and in the news that I think really highlights how capable people are. So. I just want to say that, like, look, there's this story out there. If this guy who's a quadruple amputee can go on to become a professional cornhole player, right, earning enough money to buy $100,000 Tesla SUV, and then while driving that SUV, now remember, again, this guy has no hands or feet, while driving that SUV, allegedly shoot with a gun and kill the guy riding shotgun who pissed him off, and then dump his body and drive more than 100 miles to another state, you can do anything you set your mind to. I recommend that you set your mind to something that doesn't involve murder, again, allegedly. But I have to say that the whole thing is pretty impressive for a quadruple amputee. And also, I had no idea there was Tesla money in cornhole. So I'm pretty impressed by that too. But that's my PSA. Don't underestimate yourself.
Well done, Tom. I thought you were taking it high. I was like, whoa, look at this guy. And then it took it. That was like a midpoint, old school big twist. And then you drove us right off the cliff like Thelma and Louise. So thank you. Okay, I'm ready for my PSA. Last week, I took it high and you said I'm going to take it low. So now I'm completely confused. But I am going to take it lower today. I've got such beef, and it is an issue of my life with people cutting in line. But when so today I want to talk about the queue, the line at a place, like where the ropes are set up, the queue. If you enter the cash register from a side and not in the queue, come on, man. Meaning there's people in line, there's one person in line, there's two people in line, and you enter from the side that is exit either side of the register, like at an airport, at a convenience store. No, if there's other people in the queue, you go behind them in the line. Just because you come in from the side, you don't get to go first. In the past couple weeks, I'm like, oh, they don't know. I'll let them go. And then another day, they don't know. I'll let them go. Tom, I can't take it. Get in line, stay in line. I'm about to crack.
I know how upset you get about lines. Like one of the few things that like, you get legitimately irate about is people cutting in line. So I appreciate you sharing that. But yeah, I like line etiquette line etiquette matters. I agree with you. Line etiquette matters. It also drives me nuts. I 100% have found myself being the line police on multiple occasions and being like, hey, line starts back there, pal. Don't try to act like, oh, I didn't realize that. Like you saw us all standing here. You walked by a whole bunch of people waiting in line. Like don't try to act all innocent and confused, right? Get in the back of the line. So I'm with you.
My favorite on that is when people realize the line's there, and then they see all the people in line, like you just mentioned, and then they're like, oh, they pretend like they're on their phone or is this the line? And then they just keep walking around trying to figure out a way not to get in the line that they just knew was the line and said was the line. Come on. Okay, that's all the PSA I got, Tom. We got to go back to content, output, and being on message. Do we have a final tip? Go on. What do you got?
Well, I wanted to ask, have you seen that story about the cornhole guy?
No, I have to look this up now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just curious, like, Flash, if you guys have seen it, it has been all over the internet. Yeah, Holly's seen it. Okay. It has been all over the internet. If you haven't seen it yet, you got to look it up. It is insane. It's an insane story. And like the headlines on all the stories are like quadruple amputee professional cornhole player charged with first-degree murder. And you're like, what? And then it's like for shooting someone, you're like, how'd he shoot someone? He doesn't have hands. But like he has shared videos of himself shooting guns at a shooting range. He's got a way to figure it out. He's got like a little bit of dexterity in like one of the stumps, and he's able to actually like get it around a trigger. But yeah, I mean, like he literally has no hands or feet. He's got like partial limbs on all four limbs. And he's a professional cornhole player, which I didn't even know was a thing. But apparently it's been on ESPN for years. So I didn't even know that's a thing. But yeah, he got in an argument. He had like other people in the car. He got in an argument with the guy riding shotgun, shot him and killed him, then asked the two people in the back seat to help him get rid of the body. They were like, buddy, and got out of the car and ran away. He then drove off, dumped the body somehow in like someone's yard, right? And then drove 100 miles to Charlottesville, Virginia, and then was found there when he went to an emergency room for an unspecified injury, for treatment for an unspecified injury. So like that's where they caught him. They caught him and arrested him. He's being extradited to Maryland, where the shooting actually took place, to face charges. So yeah, I mean, it's a completely wild story, but like no hands, no feet. Not only is he driving a car, but like in the process pulls a gun and shoots somebody. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's just, there's so many questions, but it's a crazy story.
There's so much to unpack there. It almost, like me and you sometimes talk about like business ideas and we almost need like a Tiger King style series where we uncover this whole situation. One, how to get so good at shooting gun, how the person next to him not like see what was happening, like get gun from pocket to hand to shoot. There's so much there, Tom. I think we need to investigate.
No hand, not from pocket to hand, from there's no hands. Like, it might have been in a pocket. I don't know where the gun was, but he's got no hands. He literally has no hands. Like, yeah, my thought too was kind of went to like, how slowly did this happen? Like, because there's no way that this guy who has no hands is a quick draw expert, right? Like, he's not like, breaking records for how quickly he could draw a gun and shoot somebody who's sitting next to him in the car. Like, this must have been slow moving. Like, how do you not just like reach over and take the gun out of his stumps? It's crazy. It's completely insane. But yeah, that was my take on it. I'm kind of disappointed. I wish you had seen the story first, because I feel like you would have really appreciated the humor in my PSA if you had seen the story first. But I think nonetheless, the message carries. Don't underestimate yourself. If a quadruple amputee can manage all of that in one single night, like, what's your excuse, right? You can do anything you set your mind to.
Tom, I'm in on this motivational production when the time comes. I'm also in on the fact that I think after that it might be time.
Oh, yep. You unmuted, somehow you unmuted on your computer, so you were echoey, but I fixed it. You're good.
Okay, now I'm good. I don't know. Something was up on the screen. That's how life happens. Okay, I'm back. I appreciate all of you. On that note, this has been a wild one. Tom, are you ready to do what only you can do and wrap us up and put a Christmas bow on this?
I will do my best. Yeah. I mean, look, I think when it comes down to it, the consensus seems to be, one that I think both of us support, and that is the idea that you don't just need more content. What you really need is a plan. And I think that's where so many people go wrong with their content strategy, with their marketing strategies, is they don't understand or value or appreciate how important it is to have a solid plan that is executable, right? That is the key component to it. Is whatever the plan may be, it has to be a plan you can execute on. And then you can use that plan to help grow your audience, to help grow your business, to ultimately create opportunities for new sales that will drive revenue for your business, right? All of these things. But the first thing, it all starts with a plan. And I think that's the place where a lot of people get it wrong, is they just go, they hear online, they hear from people or from influencers or, from whoever, podcasters, right? That you have to post more, you have to post more, you have to post more. And while volume does help you break through, right, the sort of algorithmic constraints that we all face on social media, it doesn't matter if the content that you're putting out is junk. The quality has to come first. The plan has to come first. And then you can ramp up volume over time, especially if you design a plan that you're able to stick to over a long period of time. Then you can up the volume by simply resharing content that you've already posted in the past, right? So like you stick to a plan of maybe posting 3 times a week for a year. And then by year 2, you can up that. Now, if you can keep up the 3 times a week, you can start recycling content, reposting stuff. And now you're posting 6 times a week, right? And all of a sudden you're posting almost every day. And by the time you get to year 3, you can start compounding that. And all of a sudden you're posting every day, no problem, right? So that's the thing, is I think create a plan that you can stick to and execute on first, then develop high quality content off of that plan that follows a set of guidelines that delivers value to your audience, and then get to sharing that stuff. So that's my wrap up for today. As always, Dom and I appreciate all of you for being here. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. You guys are the reason why we do this. You make us not the smartest guys in the room, and we love you for it. Until next time, for Dom, I'm Tom. Thanks so much for being here. We appreciate and love you guys, and we'll see you next week on Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. Until then, have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. Bye-bye.